Oh, what is up? What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Welcome into Husker Hangover. I am Matt Verzal. Thank you so much for joining us this morning after another victory for Nebraska over Northern Iowa. And one of my former athletes, Blake Anderson, who started at left guard for the Panthers. It was quite a day. It was quite a day. There was a lot going on. I got down there to tailgate. Ooh, shoot, about 1:30. Hit up the old sister just to keep the family happy. Went to her tailgate for a little bit. Walked over, saw my banker. Went to meet up with the parents of Blake Anderson and everybody that was over there with the Panthers. And then got over to the Gordon Kudrin Diedrich festivities and got after that for a little bit. Well, it was quite a day. It was a full day for me. I hadn't been down there. It had been 10 years, probably since I'd gone down and tailgated. So it was quite a day for me. Um, as a gift from me to my former player Blake, I told him that I would get some pizzas down to him after the game because they said they didn't like the food they necessarily got after the game. So I thought this is an easy deal, right? I thought the game would be cleared out and we would just drive up the street there right out on the south side of the stadium. And that was not the case. So the wonderful Jenny Benning, Damon Benning's lovely wife, she, excuse me, grabbed the pizzas from Omaha, drove them down, couldn't get anywhere. So we had to go to the Casey's on the north side of the stadium and the viaduct. So she and her friend, we walked the pizzas over the viaduct bridge to the South Stadium, which is very far, but happy to do it nonetheless. Glad that we pulled that off. Uh, Nebraska emerges victorious. Did not cover 34. Well, depends on where you got it. Former player of mine, or former teammate of mine, former teammate of mine, Steve Ott, got it at like 31 and a half, so he ended up covering. Uh, and hey, it is what it is. One money's good money too. But it was a good day. It was a good day overall. Little mini Pedialyte to get the day going here for us. Um, yeah, the game with Northern Iowa, I you're watching these and you're trying to warn everybody like, hey, you're coming off a big win. This is a little bit different team. Colorado is a lot more, finesse. They don't really commit to run. They want to kind of showcase the talent that they have on the field, which is great. They have a ton of talent on the field, so they want to make sure those guys get their flowers, as they say. But at the end of the day, I nobody ever felt that game was out of control. Northern Iowa did a great job of running the football early. The first quarter, there were 3 possessions. Nebraska got it, Northern Iowa got it, Nebraska got it quarter over. Like we don't see that a whole bunch of time. But they know what they are. They know they're committed to running the football, and they know what they have to do to get that done. So you have to tip your cap to them. It was one of those games where people want to just kind of pick at it. As Brian mentions, can you believe some fans are bitching about the last 2 victories? Seems they forgot how we played the past few years. The team has flashes of brilliance. We still have things to work on. Enjoy the 3-0 start, people. Yeah, it is. But Nebraska fan, like, we're just so pent up. Like, we just want to be good and we want to be relevant and we want to be in the talk for the CFP and we want to do all these things. But these are just the stepping stones of it. The way the show will lay out today, I probably got about an hour and a half here. I got to get some work done before we get to business here on Sunday at Pisons. Next week's show, as of right now, and if you don't follow us on at Husker Hangover, is the Facebook. The Matt Verzal podcast will be where we just kind of house this. I don't know what happened to the Husker Hangover account. So this is what we are. This is where we're at. And then the Twitter thing I should have fixed up by next week, or X, whatever it is, whatever I have to do to get X to not be pissed off at me. So we'll get that figured out. I'll have some time next week to get that done. The people that I was with, like, I had my sideline pass for the game. Like I said, Tommy Haas was down there, so we're just kind of talking about stuff. Jay Foreman, I got to hang out with Jay for quite a while, which was awesome. We don't get to see each other much anymore. We got to talk to Jay the whole game and watch that. And the kind of core comment of it was, hey, we need to get this, running set up. Like, we need to be able to stop the run. This is a great game to kind of work on your run game, but Satterfield got away from it pretty quick. I thought. I think there was some opportunity to do that, but there are things as an offensive coordinator you probably want to see and you want to do. So who knows what the end game was. I love how everybody's jumped to expectation, but I also think we need to stick with the fact that we need to be realistic. Like, we are just winning games. Like, we are winning games that in the past have been a little closer than this. That game, as we watched it never was out of control. I thought the offense, for the most part, operated on all cylinders. Like, they didn't. Well, I had to leave about early fourth quarter to run and get stuff set up for my guy Blake, but it wasn't a punt. I mean, they weren't able to stop what Nebraska wanted to do offensively. So that was, I thought, a good sign for Nebraska. You're playing a team that doesn't have the talent you have. They don't have the players you have. And you were just able to kind of walk up and down the field in different varieties. You could get after it. Throwing it for them, the pass game was good. There were some throws that were made. Probably could have a little more juice, mustard on it. Again, we have a freshman quarterback. Like, we have a freshman quarterback that has led us to a 3-0 start. The offensive line, there were some changes up front. Lutowski started at right guard. Hadn't heard anything. What was up with Mazuka? But that's what they did. Tackles were in. I didn't think they played that bad. Benhart was probably a little more aggressive than he had been in the first two games. But I think you're starting to see things kind of separate themselves out. I think Dowdell is the player that they want, to be the guy that's going to be the one that totes the rock for them, which is awesome as we see things kind of settle themselves out. That progress, or that winning of races, that evolution of what the team is, it just kind of started to happen, and you can see it build and you can see things go. So, I mean, for me, I'm just ecstatic still about how this goes. It was a very weird, probably the weirdest experience for me on a football field, because my alma mater is playing. They're playing a kid that I coached. And so I'm sitting there watching the game, and I'm like, okay, Nebraska's scoring. This is awesome. We're ahead. We're kind of keeping on our path here. But then when Northern Iowa would have the ball, I just watched the left guard and was like, well, that's a pretty damn good block. They're still running the ball. This is going well. And away they go. So it was a fun day again. It was great to be back in the stadium. For me, it had been, don't judge me, but it had been 10 years since I had been in the stadium, since the 20-year reunion of the 94 team. So to see all the bells and whistles and the lights and the kind of little things they do in between quarters, that was a different world to me. But they're giving you an experience, and for the prices you're paying, you should get an experience. Let's be honest with ourselves. You should have some entertainment. And so it was fun to be in the stadium. Saw a lot of old friends, saw a lot of old people that I hadn't seen in quite a while. So just overall, a great night, a great evening. And then Nebraska now is on to Illinois. I hope I'm sure we do, because I had to deal with a Twitter brainiac. And anymore, I just don't deal with him. I just, yeah, you're entitled to your own wrong opinion, but keep the comments firing. I want to get your feedback on this game because it's interesting to gauge how the former guys, like we're talking about it, like, hey, man, they were 6'8", 10 of 7. John Crippen was down there, a guy that I had watched as a kid, and not too far of a kid. Like I was probably 16 when he was playing, but he was a hell of a player. So he's down in Dallas, so to get his view of things, and then talk, like I said, some of the other fellows on the sidelines, but everything had been moving smooth. And Northern Iowa, you got to give them credit. They had a very simple game plan. We are going to try to, if you put a nose guard in there, we are going to double team him. We're going to move him out of the way. We think our 2 can take care of that 1. And they had success in it. They controlled the ball quite a bit, unfortunately, or fortunately for us, unfortunately for them. They were never able to capitalize on red zone stuff. Like as they moved down to the red zone, they basically, if you want to summarize the game from the 40 to the 40, Northern Iowa did a great job. Probably in a lot of people's aspect, they won the game from the 40 to the 40, or even to the 30 to the 30. But where Nebraska was able to succeed was once it got it in the red zone, once it was time to score, Nebraska put it in the end zone, and they finished the business. Northern Illinois quarterback made some mistakes, had a fumble on a big 4th down that they decided to go for, threw an interception down the red zone. So, hey, good for Nebraska. Like, good for Nebraska. You went and you handled your business. You went and got done what you needed to get done in that. Because it's just, then I don't know how you guys feel about it, but for so long, I've watched this. I'm like, okay, this is an opponent that we should win. By how much would probably be the key, the question you would like to ask. But let's just win because we're not used to it. We haven't done it for so long. And we do that. But Nebraska did that day. Alvano, I think it was big to get Alvano in the game, kicking a field goal just to get his confidence back. He had missed one. You never know what's going to happen with kickers. They're just different people. So to have him kind of rocking and rolling there was good. To the questions we go. Patrick says, what was up with the defensive run game? Was UNI scheme better? Why didn't they hang half 100? The thing with the way the world goes now, as you get the trickle down effect, and I think that the end game of the scholarship limit and the different, the 85 and those kind of things, that's probably created kids that can slip through the cracks and end up being in a northern Iowa type school. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's a good organization. They know who they are, and they're old. Like they're an old team. Much like Nebraska's offensive line is an old team, but they know that we have a running back, 2 running backs actually that weigh over 220 pounds. So if we get, like I talked, if we get that little subtle push, yard or 2 yards, we're going to get 4. And if we can get 4 3 times in a row, we just stay on the field. So that was kind of the way that they looked at it. Probably for this point in the year, it was the best offensive line that Nebraska has faced. And so it was different. It wasn't UTEP who they were kind of able to push and shove around. It wasn't Colorado who they bullied in the middle. It was the best that they've seen thus far. And for me personally, it's a great refocus. It's a great step for Nebraska because Illinois is a different monster. Like Illinois, Brett Bielema, I will always have a ton of respect for Brett Bielema. I will. He can just coach. He obviously makes it fun because no matter what his teams are they world beaters? Are they national championship contenders right now? No. But I would say there will be a ton of stuff addressed in practice this week to maybe make sure that we're a little bit more aggressive. We get things done a little bit better on the defensive side of the ball. Not that it's a major panic button. There's nothing to worry about. But now you're going to get a little bit offensive line, which is a nice step for Nebraska to take because they will commit to the run. And now they have some film and they can see what's happening and they can see, hey, here's where we need to address. If you ever go game to game and you say there's nothing we can get better on, then you've got other problems to worry about. Like you've got other things that you just aren't ready to handle. And so it was a great game. Nebraska won. Everybody was pretty chill. It was very awesome. I thought the stands would clear out, but the stadium was still rocking. Third quarter, like I said, start of the fourth quarter, I had to bail out, and I think that's when it kind of started to empty. But people were used to just like, hey, I'm gonna get out of here at half. We know what this is, blah 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 blah. But now even to see the fan, team mentality shift, and you're starting to get some buzz nationally. You're starting to get some people nationally. They're like, hey, this kid at quarterback is legit. He's the real deal. Maybe we need to pay a little bit more attention to them. Maybe they should be somebody that we're a little bit more worried about. And that's a cool thing. To watch it all rebuild and watch it all come back game by game. And now you're in that business mode. You're just on to the next. You have another team coming in Illinois on a Friday night. You got a short week of practice. All the bumps and bruises got to get taken care of a little bit quicker. And Lincoln will be rocking again on Friday. So super happy, as I said, that we just kind of keep going on and on and on. And it just keeps moving. Johnny says Raiola threw his first interception. It's the time to start thinking about making quarterback change. The sarcasm of Johnny Johnson is always good to have as part of the game here on Husker Hangover every Sunday morning. Another long time we haven't heard much from him. I'm not sure where he's back because I know he's been out of it because he asked me about the stash. Stash has been here. I tell you what, as long as we keep winning, the stash will stay. Stash will stay as long as we're winning because I'm that guy. I'm a superstition guy. I don't like upsetting the apple cart. So if you love it, great. If you don't, get over it because it ain't going nowhere. Jeannie says it feels great. Haven't had this energy and confidence in years. Sure, there are learning points, but go big red. Yeah. I just don't. There's that sect of people, and somebody mentioned it, that they get mad about how it goes. And then inevitably, like this is at 50, I had tailgated for a while, made a good decision. My mom, she came and picked me up after all the festivities were over. And we were listening to one of the overreaction shows or whatever it was. And the guy asked, he said, well, we need to do X, Y, and Z. And this wasn't that. And this wasn't that. And then the statement comes, well, in the 90s, we did. And it's like, come on, man. Like, it's 30 years. Turn the page. Let it go. We're redoing this. It's a completely different genre, completely different setup, completely different everything. So let's just let it go. As I was kind of perusing the tailgate lots, I'm not going to say the name, but ran into a friend of mine, has a son on the team, and just kind of wanted to pick their brain and see where they were at. And I just leading questions, curious mind, whatever you want to call it. I said, hey, how's it going? Does he enjoy it? And is it fun? Because I think a lot of times when you enjoy it and it's fun, then winning happens. And Dad put his hand on my chest. And he said, it's night and day. He said, it's night and day. He said, in 2 years, it went from like questions of what is this, lack of communication, how do we get to this point, to he has every bit of information he ever needs all the time. The staff reaches out to the parents. I'm sure not individually, but just in a big group, like, hey, looking forward to seeing everybody, whatever, blah, 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 blah. But for me, the reason I bring this up is because that's a reinforcement point to me on how the program is being rebuilt. And these guys right now, they're one of the new foundational blocks of the organization. Like they're kids that have been through it. Like they've been through the fire. They've seen some things that have happened and went down both on and off the football field, and they've dealt with it. And now their reward or their adjustment is, hey, we get this new staff, we get this new guy. This is how they operate. This is how they go. We feel confident in everything that they're telling us because they've yet to prove themselves wrong. And so that was awesome to me. Walking on cloud nine as I was heading down to go into the game, that was just great for me to hear, because you can have fool's gold, you can win games, and the background of it just still isn't right. But when you can get a parent that, and when mom and dad, when your child is safe or when your child is in a good situation, the smile on mom and dad will be different than the smile as they're just talking to you. Hey, old friend, it's good to see you. But grinning from ear to ear, happy, ecstatic. So that what they're doing is it's right. And I will probably reinforce this every week, hopefully with a different story, because it's something that helps put old heads at ease, like the old players' minds at ease, that it isn't being built on a flimsy foundation. You're getting granite stones to put this thing on to build it. Now the building is going very fast, which is also pretty awesome. I'm like, hey, this is going to take a hot minute, but you rewired the brain. They think about things different. They think about the game different. They think about preparation different. They think about execution different. A couple of times as I watched you could see some guys getting pissed off because the execution probably wasn't where they wanted it at. Not getting after each other, not anything detrimental, but being, sideline guy, and you're close and you can see the conversations and how everybody's handling those, how the coaches communicate to it, how everybody gets after it in their preparation. That makes you different, right? That makes you become part of the upper crust of your conference. And that's where you want to be as things expand out and as things get bigger and the games get more important. Now you have something to fall back on. So that was a couple takeaways from mine. Johnny asked, why was Damon tailgating? Should he have been getting ready for the game? Well, it was not Damon. I did run into DB after the game. That was good to see him. He was in his frantic, Damon, I want to go home. I want to go home. So gave him a quick hug and got him out of there. Walter says it's nice to be able to complain about three. I'm guessing we're a 31-point win. It is, and it's weird. It's hard to exercise demons. It really is. I said that was one of the keys. That was my big key for the Colorado game. Can you exercise the demons of the past? Or are you going to revert back to what you know, and it kind of gets out of control and you don't perform well? But then we watch them play and they do a fantastic job. Keep the game under control in the first half. Second half, things to work on. Northern Iowa next up. Easy game to look past. Easy game. All due respect to Northern Iowa. But you could have said, hey, we should beat Colorado, man. Dion, Primetime, Shedeur, Shiloh came in, or Shiloh. Neither one of them was on the field at the end of the game. We did our thing, man. We are back, baby. But they came out focused and they came out efficient. Was it the most spotless game they'll ever play? No. But did they handle their business? Did they get some extra guys in the game? Yeah. Did you win? And they pulled all those off. Raiola is just Raiola. He's smooth with it. He's in full control of the field the whole time. He's got his little, we're going to get the ball back. I got my little warm-up thing that happened in front of us as we were down there watching the game. Bigger than I thought. Like he's built. And that kid, he's put together. ran the ball early. I thought that was a brilliant call. We had a 3rd and short. I'm not sure if it was 4th and short, but give the zone read fake. Scouting report as it lays now on Dillon is that don't worry about it. He's not a run threat. Okay. Gave the ball fake across the formation, just the inverted option. And the old QB kept it and caught Northern Iowa off guard. Ran for about 15 yards and got out of bounds. Gave a little fake like he was going to hit somebody, but got out of bounds, which is fine. They went to the well again a little bit later in the game, tried to get him a rushing touchdown, and Northern Iowa had stayed home, and Dillon foot slipped and he got down. So all is right in the world. Another fun thing, and I think you're going to see this as it evolves through the season, Heinrich Harburg in the game. Took a snap from under center, tried to run a little counter, rolled another one of our former players, Barrett Liebentritt, across the field. Did a nice job kicking out the end, created a little hole. Unfortunately, the play didn't score, but using him and his athleticism, I think, could be a nice wrinkle for Nebraska to get it to use down the road. He can throw the ball, so now you open up some creativity in the playbook. Probably the part I like the most is you're going to have to make your opponent waste some time in preparation. They're going to have to look at things and say, okay, if QB2 comes in the game, we're going to have to be aware of this. If he lines up wide, we're going to view a reverse pass. They will throw it to him. He's got great hands. He's just an athletic kid. But now Sack can get some creativity in there. It doesn't have to be everything that you see. Nebraska's receivers, their evolution from last year to this year has been great. Now, I know there's new bodies in there and there's transfers in, and you did good in the transfer market. You really did. The 2 you brought in are players, and they are built that way. They look the part. They do a great job. And if they have to go up and high point the ball, they high point. If they got to run a route, snap a route off, there's a great out route that was thrown right in front of us. Timing was immaculate. The throw was made. The catch was made. I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting used to being able to have a cornucopia of positives to find in a game instead of having to really dig through and be like, well, on this one play, we did everything right. That's it has happened in the past. So this is foreign territory for me. So as we press on through this season, we're just watching this evolution. We're watching things grow. We're watching things build. Something in Illinois, I think we're going to find out about Nebraska is what is your identity? Like, what are you about? When you get into that down that I love to talk about, 3rd and 4, what do you go to? And I'm intrigued. Right now, I think as it lays, it's going to be a little pass to Fedone. It's going to be a pass to Fedone. Because they know he needs to be part of it. They know his role has to grow. And maybe I would even extrapolate that out, is that it would be a pass to either he or Borkacher, and the growth of Carter Nelson is probably the next one that we need to really pay attention to, because he's as advertised. He's legit. Got his first touchdown, which was cool to see. But he's a guy that's right now not a full-blown tight end. So as you move him around in the offense and you can put him on different spots of the field, he becomes a guy that is a mismatch nightmare for some defenses, especially with the way Nebraska is able to use their receivers in different methods. You got super fast. You got the guy that's going to run great routes. You got all these things, right? I could see Nebraska starting to use some of their wide receiver, what's called pass catcher, because I don't think all of them are wide receivers, but all of their pass catcher talent, to then open up the run game, because that's something that I hope is a point of emphasis against Illinois, because it's going to be a stout challenge. Illinois always has good defensive line since Bielema has been there. Their offensive line will be good as well, and we're going to talk defense here after we kind of wrap this part up. I don't know why that did that, but it is what it is. It'll come back. Maybe. But it's a thing that as they can position guys around the field, and as they can move guys, now we can force a team to lighten up the box, that area 5 yards from the line of scrimmage. Safety can't sneak down anymore, because if he does sneak down, RPO is a nice complement to that run pass option. If the safety vacates, inside receiver, be that a tight end, a slot, the second guy, if a safety comes down in the box because he's worried about running ball, you just go to where he vacated. You run right in there, ball goes over the top. Those are things that I think they're going to be able to take advantage of as we continue on in the season. And that's great. But when they get the box lightened up, okay, 6 guys in there, 7 guys in there, Nebraska has to take advantage of it. Like it's got to be a point of control. And then even for the younger guys, once that is in there, they can't abandon responsibility. You have to be able to get after it. Like you have to be able to block downfield, because you now become the touchdown block. If the linemen handle their business up front and you get to the second level, running back's got to take care of the second level, more likely than not, at least one person on the second level. That's the linebacker level. Now it's up to you, because you have to block a corner, a safety, the last line of defense. So if you're the one that gets out there and does that, now these big ones, these little ones that are 4 or 5 yards, make one guy miss. Now those become 20, 30. The Dowdell one on the sidelines was really well executed play. The play was designed to be an A-B gap play. So inside, they, I think, saw something on film. Number 6, the cornerback for Northern Iowa, was a little bit lazy on his contain responsibility, right? He wasn't the guy. Like, he was supposed to be the guy that made sure it all stayed inside. He saw 2, 3 go in there. He thought, I'm going to just slide down a little bit. The minute he moved in, the vision of Dowdell to get back outside of that was spot on. It was instant. It was perfect. But I think it was something they saw on film, and they knew they could do that. And then around the corner he went. I think he got down to the 13-yard line. Their safety flew around pretty good and did a nice job of getting him out of bounds. But those kind of things, when you have that run through, you know you can get the ball in motion, getting first downs via the run, the talent at wide receiver. I think it bodes well for the rest of Nebraska's season. Back to the comments we go. No running back has gone over 100 yards in a game in Rules 15 games at Nebraska. I'm fine with that. And I think I got a little bit better at this when I was a redshirt freshman. They had the wee-backs, Calvin Johnson, Derek Brown. And really, those 2 guys and how they handled it are very similar to how whatever running back comes in the game for Nebraska. When they're viewing the yards as room yards. These are running back room yards. These are the yards we're going to get. This is how it's going to go. We don't care what number carries it. We don't care what number gets more yards than the other. We just want the yards. And so it is for us to not have 100-yard rushing or 100-yard running back is a different thing. But as long as that room's good, I think everything's fine. I really do. And it's so crazy. It's so crazy to be so calm and watching this. So, all good things. Okay, this one actually, Mike's got a question. Mike says, what was the deal with that penalty on the crossing pass? It was overturned. Okay. The rub route, the pick route, that's in everybody's offensive playbook. Okay. Meaning, I'm going to run a route. Now, this was how I interpreted it. My view of it wasn't the best. But when they called it, I said, I think that was completed behind the line of scrimmage, so this is actually a legal play. If the contact is made downfield, there's one way it's bad and one way it's good. And this is the way it's taught to me. If this has changed, hit me in the comments. I got no problem. I'm the first to admit I have the way that the rule was taught to me. That changes. I'm not searching out the change until I see it or I hear it and somebody corrects me, and then we go. If the contact is made by the non-receiver, but the ball is caught behind the line of scrimmage, you're in essence running a screen. So that contact is fine. They can do that. So I think what they did is they went back and reviewed it. The ball that was caught behind the line of scrimmage, the contact happened before the pass was thrown, which is kind of the rub on the deal. So therefore, behind the line of scrimmage, pass catch, everything's good to go. Had the ball been caught in front of the line of scrimmage, then the penalty would have stayed. That penalty Nebraska would have been penalized. Is an easier way to say that. But due to the fact that it was caught behind the line of scrimmage, now everything's good. And Raiola knew it. He knew right away. So that's always, I think they really took a look at it and wanted to do that. So that's my best explanation. Mike, I hope that helps you clear it up. I want to get your guys' view on this. What is your thought on the Friday night game? Are you excited for a Friday night game versus Illinois, 7 o'clock kickoff? Or you're just like, man, we shouldn't be doing this. We should just stick to Saturdays. Back in the day when we were kind of on our come up, Coach Osborne had no problem taking a Thursday game. And that was cool. Because we it's like, hey, we don't care. We just want to play. We just want to go play the game. So it doesn't matter to us. But there used to be, and I'm a high school football coach, well, former high school football coach. But the Friday night game for me, and I understand the money and getting the game on and all that stuff. This is kind of Lance says, I love it. So then my weekend is freed up to enjoy football with less stress. Yeah. And that's fair. I love the Friday night for high school games. I just do. It's been a part of my life for 27 years. It was awesome. And away you go. But it's a little weird to me. I'm struggling keeping up with why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Why are we playing on Friday night? We got the other ones at least. At least we have lights. Johnny says after Friday night games. Brian says Friday night is for high school. Walter says Friday night games suck. Yeah, I know, I put it in this essence to you too. As a business owner, formerly in downtown Lincoln, give me that Saturday game, that Saturday one, because hey, we're gonna have a day either way. If it's 11 o'clock kickoff, you got to open a little earlier, get a little rush before, get the game under control. Then at halftime, get a little rush. Then here's your hope. If you were a bar owner in Lincoln, Nebraska ever, you hope after the game, the 11 o'clock game, everybody goes home and takes a nap. Because then if they don't, you're going to be dealing with zombies by about 7:30. That's just going to be a long rest of the night. That Friday one kind of messing with my money. I would like you to not do that. Because now I got to bank on you guys doing your thing and winning on Friday and make my Friday, which is always a good night anyway, a little bit more chaotic. And I got to hope everybody still wants to come back out on Saturday because this is how I'm paying my bills. But yeah, I'm not a Friday. I'm not a fan of the Friday night game, but money's money. It'll be on Peacock. It'll be there. Tommy brings up a good point. It's a bigger audience, national exposure. You are the only show in town. I don't know how many. I don't know how many folks are headed to Peacock to watch the game, but it's a good point. It's a point I don't always think of. That's a good point. So, Illinois coming in on Friday. I do easily erase the year before. I know Nebraska was fine with Illinois, but there's just something with Bielema. This will be a tough one for me to erase as Nebraska football continues to evolve. It'll be a tough one for me to erase because I know the guy can coach. I'm super nervous that he will recreate mini Wisconsin because I'm not sure why Wisconsin ever strayed from what they were doing offensively when they hired Luke Fickell. They could have hired Luke Fickell, who's a great defensive coach. Great defensive mind. We're going to keep this offense this way. We're finding these gargantuan human beings in this area that we live in, and we just we always have a great running back somehow. If we can just strike gold on the quarterback every now and then, we're going to be in the mix. We're going to be real good because we always seem to have a receiver or two, a tight end for sure that we can use. And you can be the head coach, but this is what we'd like to continue on. They chose to abandon that. And maybe abandon is a bad word. Maybe it's not a full-blown abandonment of the situation, but it's different. Bielema still has all those contacts, and Bielema still knows all those people. And so he's like, hey, man, I'm in Illinois. Like, if I get to a New Year's Six bowl game or sneak in every 4 years, they're going to be like, this guy is the Messiah. He's got us figured out. He knows how we can do this. He knows boom, 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 boom. He makes me nervous all the time because he's a good coach. So I think this is going to be a great test, not only for the players at Nebraska, but the staff at Nebraska. Tony White, I got to go back to the drawing board just a little bit. So like, hey, okay, boys, how did we go at this? Did we underestimate Northern Iowa, and that's why they were able to control the ball, or what was the deal here? Because scheme-wise, what they're going to run is very similar to some of the things that Northern Iowa did. You're going to have a little bit different athlete doing it. I've got to meet the center from Northern Iowa's family. That buddy, once he puts on like 15, 20, 25 pounds, kid's going to be a nightmare. He's a good player, but fortunately for us, he didn't have those 15, 20 pounds on him right now. Illinois will have guys that are Big Ten linemen, and they will get after it. And they will run the zone, and they will run it well. As long as their back can read it, they'll be okay. So, Bielema makes me nervous. I don't know. And maybe it's just that I'm anxious and okay, we're in it. We're going to do this. We're going to win. We're going to bowl game and all the stuff. I can see it. It bounces around in my brain almost weekly. But Lance asked, would you rather play on Thursday or Friday? Me personally, I would rather play the Thursday game because now I know I'm on ESPN and the eyes on the program that I desire to get. That's what I want. If I have to search the channel to watch the game, I'm probably not going to be that jazzed up about it. But if that channel that the game is on is on my TV every day, yeah, sign me up for that. There's some sweet games like Okie State down there. Baron Miles blocked a punt. I mean, those Thursday ones are all right. From a player aspect, it's kind of nice because if you go and you win that Thursday game, you know the coach who all their tough talk at heart are softies. You're going to get a couple of days off where you can just get away from the program. You don't have to be there. You might go in and watch film on Friday. Like, hey, don't do anything stupid, but Saturday, Sunday, do your thing. So that, and I know Sunday is a bigger prep day now than it was in the past. You get a little bit of time to just kind of decompress, almost a mini bye week during the season. So pretty cool. Okay. So now we're going to dig in a little bit deeper. Lance's missed tackles last night was hard. It was probably the first game in quite a while where the tackling, we had come to such a level of expectation because we're so good at it. We did bounce off some tackles last night. We did miss some tackles last night. Again, things to work on. The games are interesting as you go at this because you want to, you can go critique all the plays you want. But sometimes when you coach, you're looking at it and you're like, okay, what other things can we do technique wise? Because that to default back to technique drills always is awesome. It's fantastic because you can again stress and reiterate, hey, we have to be technically sound when we get to point of contact. Like I would say, they're probably going to hit some drills that they haven't done maybe since fall camp, just to reboot that and get that back to, okay, we didn't meet expectation on what we needed to do tackling the football. I think also you have to give Northern Iowa credit because they had the backs for their size were deceptively agile. Like there was a couple spin moves, there was a couple dead legs. There were nice moves out of some big dudes that run hard. It was great to be on the sideline and hear pads popping. And when you're kind of, you're on the side, kind of side talking to each other because you want to focus on the game, you listen, and then the hit happens, and everybody stops talking, and then everybody now is focused in on, oh my God, who just got smoked? They fly around, like they get to the ball with intent. I think the misses in that game may have been trying to get like a big time. I'd say it. I mean, no ill will to anybody when I say this. But I think you had some guys looking for some knockout shots. Like, I'm going to hit this. I'm tired of this dude. I'm going to hit him so hard that I'm just going to get him out of the game. And that didn't happen. So I'd say that probably would lead to where that missed tackling came from. Nice. Coach White is excited about this. I'm just going to tell you, he's going to be like, okay, you guys want to do this? Remember that tackling drill you hate? We're going to do that one because that one seemed to get us tackling a little better. We got away from it. Now we're tackling like this. Now we're going to do this one and get back to tackling well. So I would see that uptick in the game. Lance is correct. Lawrence did have a night that night down in Stillwater, and it was pretty awesome to see. Ken, longtime listener, asked question: why doesn't Rayola throw to the tight ends? And he makes a huge effort to recruit and land tight ends, but they rarely catch a pass. Tight ends should account for 10 receptions every game. I do think I have no problem with that. I think it's a great way to fit them into the offense. Kenny, if you know it and I know it, then the guys probably getting paid a lot more than we are also know it. And I think it's an interesting challenge for an opponent. A tight end for a young quarterback, we hear about it all the time. When we watch the NFL, when we watch college, they say the phrase, hey, love the tight end. It's the quarterback's safety blanket. He always knows where it is. They have a great rapport. Right? So now if the defense can say, okay, I'm going to take away your safety blanket. And I'm going to make you go to your receivers. I'm going to make you go to the check down. Oh, it is? Sweet. Travis, thank you. Friday game was on Fox. I heard it was Peacock, but good on you, Travis. Back to the point. Take away the safety blanket. Now I'm going to make you have to throw it to the other ones. And see if you can do that. Now, with the success of that for Nebraska, now coverage changes. Badone had the one down by the goal line. It was a good throw, good catch. Would have loved to see a foot in the ground turn up field. and tried to run over the defensive back that remained. Don't kept angling toward the end line and tried to get it in. I get it. I get it. I just think with his size and how he is, I think a good solid truck stick where he runs the guy over and gets in the end zone, I think that would have done a world for everybody's confidence. But it's a positive play. I think it was ended up being down like the 1 or 2 yard line. But the tight end position at Nebraska will continue to evolve. Orchard is another guy that I think you can use whenever you want to. Lindholm, 44, and he's more of an H-back, but is a good pass catcher as well. So there are tons of things that Nebraska can do offensively. It's just once you establish the identity, and I still think for me, if I'm a coach with what Nebraska has, I'm going to be an A-gap identity because I think with the guys that they have in there, Evans Jenkins didn't have his best game, but it still wasn't a bad game. Ben Scott, you learned a lot about how Nebraska views each other. The little teeny tiny super skinny guy that scored on the reverse, and I apologize, his name is escaping me right now. They run just a little kind of mini reverse, gets in the end zone, and scores. Okay. Northern Iowa guy to steal a line from Animal House takes a little liberty with the Nebraska player. And this is a complete meathead thing. But you know how tight teams are when a little one gets picked on and do the big ones come help. I won't give you names, but there have been instances in the past where a defender took some liberties with a Nebraska ball carrier, and I would look, and I'm like, okay, who's coming to help this guy? Because he's kind of in a spot right now, and he's going to have to start running his mouth. And he's going to have to start talking. Okay? Barney Jr., thanks, Brian. And he don't want to talk because he's a little bit outsized, but he's going to run it because that's what he's going to do. And Ben Scott comes out and says, I'm the guy. You leave him alone. I'm the one you want to go at, big dog. Let's me and you get down. Because you're touching things that don't belong to you. That's my guy. It's not your guy. So little dumb shit like that, when I see that in the game, I love it. Because now there's a genuine concern and a care. People roll their eyes when I say this one. When a running back gets tackled, do the linemen, do the tight ends, do another running back, just who helps him up? Or do you just leave him for dead? Like, hey, get your ass up on your own. You watch it. They'll get tackled. Lineman's got a handout. You get my guy up out of harm's way. You get him back in my huddle. These little things that seem stupid to people watching it matter for cohesion. That means that they care about each other. It means they give a shit about each other. And they're not in it just for them. They're in it for the greater good. So to see Scott come over there and be like, no, you don't hit my guy like that, or we're going to have a big problem. Redemption for linemen is always, and we're like elephants. Like, we will remember. We will remember your number. We will remember your face. You will be around a pile at some point in time, and that whistle will not have blown, and I will get you. And so those little things, like, I just love to see, because it's been lacking at times. But it's just it's a rewiring of the brain. Johnny says they again did not show much, which I feel is a good thing. I think they show enough to. I wouldn't go into a game and expect a whole bunch of change. I think we've got kind of established what we are. We're a team that's able to push the ball downfield, and we're able to put the ball into spots that we haven't been able to throw it into before. 100%, the quarterback run was for Illinois to say, okay, now we have to stay disciplined. We can't abandon, we can't assume everything is a handoff. we have to stay home. We have to stay gap sound. We can't cheat a guy in because we don't think the quarterback's going to run it. 100% that was what that was for. And to get the first down. I don't know, like routes and things are hard to not show everything because nobody's developed a different route. The route trees for centuries have all been the same for the most part. So watching those kind of things, I just like the way that they feel they're in control of it. I think maybe sometimes people think it's vanilla because of the efficiency of it, right? Like there'll be times in the past where we would drop back to pass. I'm like, holy shit, I don't know what's going to happen, but let's see. Then you watch the play unfold and the routes kind of all break out, and it's like, okay, this is great. Thing with route calling and play calling, you're going to have flood concepts where you're going to flood one side of the field, you're going to make that defender kick, and it can't be right. Then you have your crossing stuff. The way I was always taught to interpret passing stuff is where does everybody end up? It doesn't matter where they start, but do I end one guy up in a hole or a seam? Do I have one guy in a deep threat to pull out a safety? And then do I have an underneath guy to help a cover two corner who's the flat player stay out of the way of where I want to throw it? How did I get my guy to the location? The guy doesn't necessarily matter. How he ends up there's what matters. On the running side, I think there's a lot of concepts that they use that I like. I think the backs and the way they run is probably the shocking part to everybody and maybe makes it look a little vanilla because you've got downhill guy, right? You've got Dowdell is a dude. I love the way they use Ramir. The way that they're managing that room is probably on the offensive side. It might be the best job on the field, and there's no doubt to me at all, not even a discussion point. The defensive line is the best run room on the defensive side of the ball. They play hard. They rotate when they need to. You get guys going. It's good. So I don't think it was super vanilla, but it wasn't. I don't think you're going to see us be very exotic with things probably for the entire year. I think just if you master the basics and the basics can get you to, again, put another ginormous piece of your foundation in. I think that's where Nebraska needs to be. Mike, I'm with you. And Walter, thank you. Mazuka did not play, was not on the field. Walter says he was suspended. I hadn't heard anything about that. Now, talking to a former teammate on the sideline, I was like, hey, man, where is Mazuka? He looked at me and goes, ooh, buddy. He goes, that guy. I go, what happened? He goes, hey, he'll get after it like all the time. I'm like, oh, are we in trouble for like some on the field? And he does have a little bit closer position to the team, so I was prying. And he just looked at me and goes, I love you. He goes, I ain't telling you nothing. I was like, oh shit, okay. It's always good to have one guy that just kind of a wild card. Hopefully the lesson learned here is like, hey man, you can't get suspended. You can't be out of this. We need you in this. So I would love to see him. I like the way he plays, but unfortunately he wasn't. No, Brian, he's not Richie Incognito 2.0. Where did that one go? Oh, Harry asked evaluation of special teams. My big thing with the special teams right now. Okay. There's no if I'm Foley and I'm in charge of kickoff, okay, I just have my guy out there. I'm like, listen, man, here's what I need you to do. If you can get this thing to land high, in between the 5 and the goal line, you can do that. If you are a meathead kicker and you just want to kick it out of the back of the end zone, perfectly fine with that too. When you miss it, because they're college kids are going to miss every now and then. When you miss it, make sure you miss in the field of play. Okay? Make sure that's where you miss. So that is how I would handle kick. Kickoff return, the Northern Iowa kid did a great job. We seem to have guys that were the returns that they were setting up or trying to set up probably need to get back a little bit quicker on the ball. Again, I did not see any punts, so I can't evaluate that at all. And then punt return, field the ball, get what you can. On Friday night, I went to watch Lincoln Southeast get demolished by Creighton Prep, which different story for a different day. But I was talking with a guy that was an old college coach, and he said, if I'm special teams guy, I'm trying to block at least one punt a game. I'm trying, and that's it. My goal is one a game. It was T.O.'s goal. He wanted to average a block a game. Punt block, the aggression in punt block, I think does you nothing but benefit. And you tell your return guy, if we get it held up where you have, I'm just going to say 15 yards of space, by all means, make a play. We're not going to be able to help you because we're selling out to block this. Okay? Totally fine if you fair catch it and just maintain possession. Again, heels on the 10. Know a lot of college guys practice this. We'll go week to week if the guy's good at it of killing the ball inside the 5. If he's not, then just fair catch it, get us the ball. We'll go from there. Okay. I know they did. No, we'll wait for that one. But that's how I would handle punt return. Is I would make that aggressive. I would get really creative on how I got out. I would actually have like some receivers out there, like who are my fastest guys. Like my guys super like I think Nebraska has like 30 some odd guys in the defensive back room between safeties and corners. My punt return team may look like a lot of them out there. Because now I've got probably a fullback or two, tight end. If they do the one with the linemen, up there as the personal protectors, I'm going to make them antsy. They're going to be nervous. And they may get in there and they may block one. The other people are going to say, oh my gosh, you can't do that. They're going to fake it on you. They're going to run. Even if I have fast guys on there and I tell fast guys, hey, don't let them, we're going to teach you how to dip and rip. We're going to get you underneath that. And then you just go make a play. Just be fast. You'd be amazing sometimes how just fast shuts down. I only need them really to stop the one play. I don't need them to do this. They're not going to be out there every down. So I would do that. That's how I would attack. Overall, the special teams, I don't think it's cost Nebraska anything. Getting Albano back in a good headspace, I thought that making a kick was huge. Striped it, didn't hesitate. Right through the uprights, perfect. Keeping him in a good headspace is where it's going to have to be. When he's in a good headspace, he's a good kicker. He really is. If things get wonky, he may overthink it a little bit, and then it could turn into a sprinkler. So getting him in the right headspace is where I think Nebraska is just going to be successful with that phase of their special team. They did try out a couple of deep snappers last night. I don't know. So evidently they did kick something. But that would be how I would look at the special teams. Johnny says Nebraska already has more punt return yards than this year than last year, but Verge could have had more than 48 yards returning last year. They have great hands. Could have caught said punts, but no. The running part at 50 just ain't my MO anymore. Yeah. So overall, tons of great things to take away. But as I said many times, probably more to work on in this. I don't think it was a thing of they're like, oh, Northern Iowa can't come in and do X. I think people were amazed how they were able to sustain drives and get and get off the field. But yeah, man, it's just so awesome. 3-0. Stat people. When's the last time Nebraska's been 3-0? I think you're going to be 90s. I think you're going to be in the 90s. Maybe not. To be honest, and I apologize. The 2000s. Oh, was it 16? Sorry. Good job, Walter. The 2000s for me and recalling statistics, like a blank period for me. So for the first time in 8 years, last time we went to a bowl game too. Last time we went to a bowl game too. You're 3-0. You haven't done anything to harm yourself, which is great. On this show forever, we talked about steel-toed boots. We talked about don't shoot yourself in the foot. I think we put those babies away. Knock on wood. Knock on wood. It's awesome. I'm just so. I'm guessing you're all in the same boat with me. But just to wake up mentally, like there were, and I do the show, love doing the show. But there were still Mondays then when I would wake up and like, what the fuck just happened? Like how did we lose that game? How does that occur? And to wake up now and to talk about football, like right, like this is, I love this. We can talk about what phases we can get better. How do you get better? We do these drills because we used to do these drills. But then we kind of put them away because we thought you guys had a grasp of it. But now, we're not doing it as good as we're going back to these drills. What do you do conceptually? How can you do this? Hey, A gap to A gap, don't care how you get there. You want to double team an odd front, meaning I have a nose and two tackles. You want to double team that odd front, get up the linebacker, great. If you want to make it mono-e-mono, we're just going to go straight ahead, even better. Don't care. How fun is it to just talk football? Like to talk ways where we are right here, right now. We are this team. How do we make it better? Do we need to call different plays? Do we need to get this guy involved? Do we need to do this? And it's just it's so refreshing. And it makes me so happy just to talk football. And just to I mean, goddamn. I can't even, like, there's old shows out there and I can't even look back at them. I'm just like, I know what it was. It was just terrible. Dave, you might be right. Some fans have PTSD and are waiting for the other shoe to drop. Yeah. Right. And that's like, for me, Dave, and I'm with you, that's kind of where I'm at. But it's awesome to get proved wrong that the other shoe will fall. Then more of the I told you it was going to happen. Told you. And that hunt for me was Colorado. And the clip came out from Colorado, and I knew it was happening, but old Shiloh was running it. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. The coolest thing to me, and maybe they muted it out just for morons like me, but not a word said by Nebraska. Just let him talk, let him whoop, and let him holler, and nobody said nothing. Yeah, okay, man. In about 4 minutes, we're gonna find out. You're writing a pretty good check. We'll see if your ass can cash it. And then didn't make it out. Oh, it makes me so happy. It's so great. But anyway, a couple more questions here. We'll wrap her up. Harry says, "Hi, Riley was highly underrated. Just needed to stay another 10 years. Maybe. Little buddy can coach. I mean, he did good, and I think he's in Canada. Is he back in Canada? He was doing all right. It just sometimes it ain't you. Man, I think it was probably 15 years. Lance says, well, Lance, I know what you're saying. I'm not going to read that one. Washington, Nebraska started 7-0-16, and then all fell apart. Ended up 9-4. Yeah, it did. My selective long-term memory is quite a thing of beauty. I only really pick out stuff I want to remember. Maybe I'm just glutton for punishment. Harry says, what was your reaction to the Purdue loss? It was coming. I mean, Notre Dame losing to Coach Hammock, who I love. I think he's a great coach. My buddy Danny Jackson was on that staff. Now that he's out in Idaho. By the way, like this is a quick sidebar, for a smaller school on how you want to handle NIL, the guy at Idaho has it down pat. He tells him, he says, if you have a good year, great. They're gonna give you $100,000. Awesome. Stay here one more, do it again, and I bet you get 500,000. Like, like he's just acknowledges it. And the only reason I say this is because some of these people fight against it. But I tell guys I'm gonna listen, Division II and small Division I, if you can go there. Dude, NIA, the leading rusher in the SEC last year was an NIA guy. Like, your path is different. Junior colleges aren't junior colleges anymore. You can go to a smaller school. It's a junior college with a better education. If you go put out numbers, they'll find you and they'll go. The reason I say this is because it's a unique opportunity for Nebraska to kind of continually scout everybody and continue to build the talent on their team. But I just thought that was an interesting way to handle it. Purdue was going to get it. It just after losing to Northern Illinois, that week of practice, the message was this is unacceptable for Notre Dame football. This will not be tolerated. This will not, if this is your expectation, if this is how you're going to do it, you're going to get it. And I bet that week of practice was the most miserable week of practice any of those guys had ever been through. And so then, you as a team, captain probably went to the boys and like, listen, if you don't want to do this, we better go take care of Purdue by a lot. Like a lot. Because I'll tell you this, fellas, and I'm, again, acting as a Notre Dame captain. If you're just going to go out and be content with winning, I was telling you, those coaches have a number in their head of how much we have to win by. We don't win by that number, we're probably going to practice on Sunday. That stuff that we did all week that we didn't like, we're probably going to do that again. So it's not our job to stop us. It's their job to stop us. So if we get the opportunity, you just keep scoring. Make the coach tell you no more. Saw it coming. Non-traditional retirement account profited from it. But he's too good. He's a young coach. He's a good coach. He just got caught in the moment of going down and winning the first one at A&M. They didn't come back focused, and they got caught. Again, another reason we would be proud of how we handled it, because we could have got caught by Northern Iowa. Northern Iowa, if we're feeling ourselves a little bit and they're kind of walking it down the field, and they, instead of turning over or kicking a field goal, they get in the end zone. And I think we're having a little bit different discussions if Northern Iowa scores the first one. Like, that might have been like, oh, okay, these guys are here for this. Okay. But they didn't. We stopped them when we had to. A little bit of bend but don't break, but it never broke. Plan executed perfectly. Johnny says, we've been able to talk about crickets, mustaches this season for years. You could have done this show the first game and just replayed it 11 times because they kept doing it. Yeah, we did. You notice our little cricket buddy? He gone. I got a kid in here that works for me that is evidently the greatest cricket hunter in the world. I said, hey, buddy, I got a problem. I hear you have a special set of skills. If you could eliminate said problem for me, I got $10 for you. And in 3 minutes, there was no more cricket. I'm thinking about hiring him out. If you have crickets at your house, we can take care of them. I'll figure out, like I said, I'll figure out what I'm going to do next week for the show. I don't know. It probably will not be Saturday morning, but I'm just going off my gut instinct. But you never know what could happen. Do you want to gauge, and I'll leave the comments open. I probably won't keep it live, but just keep the comments open. Talked to Foreman last night. He kind of has a responsibility. He has to be at the home games. But if he and I did a live of the away games, so Nebraska will play Rutgers, Jay Foreman and I would be sitting. Maybe we'll grab some other guys. Hopefully we can all get down to the same place and watch the game. You would be watching us watch a game. Just wanted to know your feedback on that. That would be an interesting thing to do. We've always talked about doing it. I think I'm going to have a little bit better facility for it. It will not be in this room here. That's probably be the last time we're in here. But he will have, I could have the ability for us to do that. Or some other former player. So I don't think it would be the main show, but if you just put us on your computer off to the side, and we would be getting after it and talking a lot of shit to each other. So that's entertaining to you. Let me know, and we'll get after it. But hey, thank you guys so much for joining the show. Thank you guys for participating. Our Nebraska corners are 3-0 for the first time since 2016. Lots to work on, lots to do. Illinois next Friday. Going to be a close one. Just get yourself prepared for it. Get mentally prepared. If you are going, be loud. If you are going, be ornery, and Illinois has the ball, they should not be able to think. Love you guys. Have a great Sunday, and we will talk to you next week.